Hello and welcome to ScreenHour with me, Mikey.
And me, Kieran.
Where we discuss the latest releases of films, series and games regarding our own impressions and experiences. We warn you before deep dive into spoilers.
Nice of you to join me this week.
Oh, sorry.
I've been holding down the fort on my own here.
Oh, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, exactly, all 2 weeks. It's your job now. I'm going to take holiday. I'm going to disappear.
I do appreciate it, Shagger.
Yeah, I know you do, I do. I'll only tease it. Well, look at us being softies.
Do you want me to introduce it, will you?
Nah, you can do it because, as I say, I did the past 2 weeks. I think everyone's fed up with my voice.
Oh, no, I'll do it then. This week, we're going to be talking about Creed 3.
I like what you did there.
By all accounts, the worst thing about the film. There's very few bad things about the film, but the title was probably one of them. Although the second one was just Creed 2, so it would have felt weird if it had a subtitle. But the very fact that I don't like it when sequels just have the number.
I agree. I've noticed that John Wick Parabellum, right, and now it's just John Wick 4, and it's like, hello, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I haven't really thought about it, but yeah, it does piss me off a little bit. But I mean, it could be worse. It could be called Creed Dial of Destiny.
Yeah, you really do not like that Indiana Jones.
If you want to start with complaints, my biggest complaint is I don't think it's long enough. I could have happily have sat there for another hour.
Yeah, it could have been longer. I felt like it just goes really quick in a good way, in the sense that like it's a good film.
Yeah, like I want more. Yeah.
If you don't know anything at all about the Creed franchise, it's a Rocky spin-off to the point where it's Apollo Creed's illegitimate son, and it follows Michael B. Jordan playing Adonis Creed, or Donnie. Like I say, it's a Rocky spin-off, but it's the only film out of this Creed franchise without Rocky in. And I think we get more into this in a bit. I missed Rocky, but the film doesn't suffer from it. That's just because I'm a huge fan. I'm a big fan of the Rocky films.
I agree.
The film doesn't, it really stands on its own legs to the point where the very fact that Rocky's in it and that the second Creed film, again, more spoilers for that one, is that's based on the other films in the sense that, a film which came out at least 30 odd years ago now, Apollo gets killed by Drago in the ring, and then Creed fights Drago's son in the second Creed film. Again, this is a bit of a positive if you ask me. There is no connection, no characters which are in the Rocky films or in this film, and it really does well to stand on its own legs.
Yeah, because I suppose the first one you're running on the steam of Rocky and Apollo Creed. The second one you're running on the Drago name, but this one it's all new.
Yeah, to the point where I was listening to an interview on the Empire Film Podcast with Michael B. Jordan, and he was saying that, Chris Hewitt, the host there, was teasing him that and winding him up those rumours that it might have been Clubber Lang's son. And they were laughing about that, and Michael B. Jordan very calmly, I think he used the word that he basically says, no, a bit of better taste, a bit more creative per se. And you want to slag the fans off, obviously, which is fair enough to him, and to the point. But yeah, it's definitely not Clubber Lang's son for what it's worth, and it's really good that it is, thank God, because that would have been even worse.
I'm sure they could have done something good with it, but it would have just been like a bit of an eye roll.
It just would have been a bit of a stretch, as you say. It would have been, especially if Rocky's in it.
Yeah.
I thought there's disputes to do with it. And that Rocky wasn't associated, but Stallone wasn't associated with it, but Stallone is a producer, and he's credited as a producer at the end of the film with the credits. So...
yeah, I'm not entirely certain on what the whole, situation is there. I just know that it's more like the producers or the distributors or something like that Stallone has beef with. Because I saw a bit where it says, like, someone asked Stallone what his relationship is with Michael B. And he says, oh no, me and the kid are great. He says there's no beef there whatsoever. It's the other side of things.
Yeah, it's more the backstage point to that. But you can have more background elements of it. This is Michael B. Jordan's first directorial debut.
I say his first debut. What, he gets a second debut, does he?
Well, you only get one, really. To say the words that Kieran's right for, says it. he does a really good job.
Yeah, he absolutely smashes it. Like for a directorial debut, like I've directed things and it's tough, but he's absolutely smashed out of the park on his first go. Obviously, he's got a lot more people around him to sort of help him out. But yeah, like he's completely got the tone of the film exactly the same as the other two, and he's just. I'm just generally pleased for him.
Yeah, so
I'm proud of him.
Whether it'll be the interviews leading up to this, or whether it'll be the interviews for the older ones, or even when there's a film he's in back in the day, not a while ago, called Chronicle, when he gets superpowers. And he's absolutely great in that. And I remember watching interviews with him then, and he's always came across as a sound guy. Like, he's not like he's our best friend, but like Kieran says, proud of him, and you want him to do well.
Yeah.
But one of the things I will point out, and the film does this, and does a lot of influences, is that he's a big fan of anime and animation and things like that. And especially in the fight scenes, and we go to more in a bit detail, but you can see those influences in the film. One of my favourite things about this filming is that the villain is the best villain in a film I've seen for a long time.
You reckon?
Yeah, because not just because it's played by Jonathan Majors and his performance is so good.
Yeah, he's like our favourite actor at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, well, exactly. It's like, our last devotion to a week or whatever. It's because he's not a straight-on villain.
No, he plays it so well.
Funny enough, my favourite MCU villain is probably Killmonger, because I think what is cool is when you can see a villain's point of view and you can see why they're like that.
Yeah, you empathise with them, yeah.
Yeah, and for them, and it's not too off the wall that you can think why they'd be like that, or why they'd think that's a good idea, or how like they've come to the point where they think, fuck this, I want to do it like this, I'm doing this, I'm taking that, I'm doing this. And Damien is like that, or Dame, however they like to bill him. But as you've probably seen on the trailer, I presume that you've probably, I say that Kieran does like to watch trailers, but like, I do, whatever a lot of people do, is if you're listening to this, you've probably watched the trailer. It does a really good job of like giving you a sneak peek of Dame and how like he thinks Michael B. Jordan is living his life, down to like one thing which happened when they were younger, and that's happened, and it's really thrown his life to a different, like, he really threw his off, like threw him off. He was going down one path, and because of that one mistake, everything's been turned upside down.
Yeah.
Another element I do really like is that his family, Tessa Thompson's featured in the other two quite a lot, don't get me wrong, but I feel like she's just a well-written character in herself.
Yeah, I think the introduction of Amara, obviously we had baby Amara in Creed 2, but I really love the fact that they've doubled down on the ALS.
Yeah, American Sign Language, like, yeah.
It's brought a completely different dynamic to, an action film. Those are things that are showcased, if often or at all, in films, and it becomes quite a pinnacle point in this film because it's used almost every scene, isn't it, really? And we're actually, as the audience, I'm watching it and I'm actually learning some as well.
Especially at certain points where, like, this is not really spoilers at all, but Damien obviously doesn't speak ASL.
ALS?
American Sign Language.
Oh, is it just ASL? Oh, right. Is that literally what it means?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought it was something else.
You tried to correct me, and he was like, "Oh, fair enough." He's like,
"Oh, fucking shut my mouth."
I'm 95% sure that's what it is.
It makes sense.
But like Kieran says, there's a bit in that where Michael B. or Donnie teaches him, "Nice to meet you." I think what the film does really well, apart from one tiny element, but the 99%, 95% of the time it does really well, is that it shows Donnie struggling to talk, struggling to communicate even to his wife. And that is like, not toxic masculinity, but like he's a big tough guy. He doesn't want to talk about things, especially like his horrible past or whatever. But it does it really well of showing his vulnerable side also and why he's like that.
Yeah.
Especially like Kieran says, that the moments with his daughter, they're quite soft and lovely, and
yeah, they're precious moments.
Yeah, they're precious moments, and that's why when things do get a bit crazy, it is even better. Don't get me wrong, Mad Max Fury Road is balls to the wall the entire 90 minutes or whatever. But if you're balls to the wall when it is vulnerable and soft, they complement each other.
Yeah, I think that's the greatest strength of the Creed films, is you've got those heightened, action moments in the rings, but when there's just the downtime, the downbeats, where, as we say, it's the more precious, delicate moments, they are so well done, and it makes the films better. I just say it's not balls to the wall for 90 minutes or 2 hours or whatever, of just pure intense action. I mean, some films are you love that, but I think it's the big strength of Creed that it's done the way that it's done.
I will say, don't get me wrong, I know this isn't a superhero film and it's a sport film, it's a boxing film, but there's a lot of bits, especially in the older Rockies, as much as I love it, is the choreography is just Rocky getting battered and Rocky being the underdog just doesn't give up or whatever. Some fight scenes are good in it, don't get me wrong.
Rocky's like Homer Simpson. He just stands there, gets beaten the shit out of, and when they're exhausted, he just takes them down.
He just one bombs and takes them down. He's like, I really appreciate the choreography in this. Is really good. And there's one scene when it does go a bit mad, but that makes sense. He's doing quite an artistic way.
You want about when the scene becomes empty and it's just the two of them?
Yeah, well, Micheal B was referring it to as the void.
Yeah,
as he says, a bit he loves anime and stuff like that. And
well, I've actually got a little something to say about that. So they would go into that, let's call it the void then, as Micheal B does. They go into that void after they both punch each other at the same time, in the face, don't they? Sort of cross arms. Now, if you call back to the end of Creed 3, when Rocky and Apollo are in the ring, all right, and it freeze frames on them both punching each other, doesn't it? And then the credits sort of roll.
That fight behind closed doors?
Yeah, that one, right? And they go to punch each other, and then it's the freeze frame and the credits roll. And that's a callback. So when they do the crossing and go into the void, it's meant to be an artistic callback sort of thing.
That's quite cool. I never picked up on that.
Because it was Creed and Apollo, Creed and Apollo are the same person. Rocky and Apollo are best friends sort of thing. And it was that sort of instance of Adonis and Dame best friends, or, at least were. And it was that sort of thing.
Yeah, I liked that. I liked how that brought a new, intensity to it. And you felt like it isolated them. And that's how, I've been in very few fights in my life, but that's in an ideal world. And funny enough, not a bit of inside my life, been training Kung Fu recently. And in that's what, you want to isolate your opponent. You just want to be thinking about them.
Yeah, tunnel vision.
Well, and your social awareness, to be fair. So, spatial awareness, so you don't get glass from mine or something. But as Kieran says, you just want to be focusing on that.
Yeah.
And that's quite cool.
Yeah, because I think I heard Micheal B say that whole scene is meant to be you're in Donnie's mind.
Yeah, there's a bit of a cartoony bit in it I do like, but also it is a bit cringy, where a jail cell comes across, the bars of a jail. He gets thrown up against that, because obviously that's a big,
Oh, yes, yeah.
That's a big theme of the film.
No, that didn't bother me. It didn't take me in or out of it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. I found it a bit corny, but like you say, it didn't ruin it enough for me to be this is shit.
Yeah, fuck this all out.
Fuck this out. It is definitely a film to go out and see in the cinema now, I'd say.
Did you see it in IMAX, did you?
I didn't see it in IMAX, but I went to Odeon on a Monday and it only cost me £4, and I swear down, on my 28 years as a planet, I think that's the best £4 I've spent.
You fucking joking me, mate? I went to Cineworld near me. I wanted to see it in IMAX because I know Micheal B shot in IMAX, and I thought, well, you know, I owe it to him to see it in the best quality. You know, he directed it. This was his vision, so I won't do it with every film, but you know, I wanted to see Creed. I wanted to see it in, you know, in Micheal B's vision. But that cost me 20 quid for one ticket.
Yeah.
I know. So, you know, as much as I want to recommend people to see it, don't be me and spend 20 quid. Like, is it worth the money? I want to say yes, but I still think 20 quid is a bit fucking steep for a ticket anyway.
Despite me saying that, and I like I say, I definitely think you should go and see it. Yes, but
if you enjoyed 1 and 2, you'll. I don't know why, but when we watched 2, because me and you watched number 2 together, I enjoyed 2, but I thought, 2 is not as good as 1. I feel it's quite weak, right? And then I watched this third one, and I thought, this third one's almost as good as the first one, but the first one's got more Rocky moments, and that hits me in the feels more. So I do prefer Rocky 1. And since watching Rocky 1, Creed 1, and since watching Creed 3, I've gone back and watched 1 and 2 again. And I'm like, why did I have such beef with number 2? Number 2 is actually really good. It's just, I don't know, it's not as good as number 1 or number 3, but it's still so solid.
Yeah, I think number 1's probably my favourite, purely just because it does such a good job of you liking Micheal B, Jordan's character. You think like a Rocky spin-off, how would that even work? You're like, why would I be asked about like Apollo's illegitimate son? But
yeah,
you're fully behind him, and he does become the underdog type of thing. My only 2 little gripes, and again, this is 2 little story moments, so I won't go into too much, like just like I am recommending the film, is there's 2 bits where it concentrates so much, and it's so good at doing the rivalry between Dame and Donnie, that if it gets 2 little like plot points, I find like quite niggly. But again, they're like, the whole film's so good, and the rivalry's done so well, because that's what boxing is, isn't it? Like, yeah, good fights are rivalries, and so the Rocky films. Is that ain't too much away from? But again, this might be me being too picky, but I'll get into them in 30 seconds.
Here we go then. Straight into spoilers.
Before we get into juicy spoilers, we'd like to take a moment to thank you for listening to us and to help us further our aspirations. We would further appreciate it. And if you would like to subscribe to us, follow us and join your preferred platforms, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Anchor and Instagram with our handle, The ScreenHour. And if you'd like to participate in an episode, leave your thoughts on what you'd like to see us cover next. That'll be ideal. Now time for spoilers. You have been warned. They're coming up.
Mikey, straight into it then.
So we spent the entire of the second film beating up Drago to be this absolute beast. And then he's Micheal B's best cuddly friend in this film. There's no scene explaining how they became friends or more their best buds. It's not even like they're frenemies now. It's to the point where Micheal B's trying to actively make more money for Drago, as being like
fixing fights,
fixing fights for him.
I did think that was weird because it didn't have any explanation, and because doesn't the film start out with a fight with Conlon?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
In current day, it does.
Oh yeah, of course. Because we got the bit where we're meeting young Donnie and young Damien.
Young Donnie and young Damien, which is done again. I probably could have brought this up in non-spoilers. Those kid actors are great.
I shit in hell. Do they look just like Jonathan Majors and Micheal B? Literally, they've got like the facial shapes and everything. Like,
especially the one who plays Jonathan Majors, the young Damien.
Oh yeah, but I think the guy that plays the young Adonis, he's got like the chin of Micheal B.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, holy shit, like they're actual mini-me's.
But no, I thought that was, again, it's quite a niggly thing, just what I mean.
Yeah, I just say it's niggly. It doesn't take it in or out of the film, you know, it's just one of those little things, but it doesn't, I say it didn't, when I saw it, I was like, oh, they're friends now, but I didn't hate that they were friends, but I was like, I would like more explanation.
exactly. I would have just appreciated more of an explanation of that.
Yeah, but I suppose that's just up to us as the viewer to, decide how they became friends.
Well, the other little one is I feel like there's like one scene, or maybe two, but like the first one is when she actually dies. Is like you say, and this is like a good point of yours, is the film could have been doing longer because his mom dies, and then you're there, like he's there when the mom dies, and then there's a scene after that, and then after that it's just montage training.
Yeah. I felt like the mum dying it felt rushed, and it also felt like it was just put in the film for the sake of, a sob moment.
No, I really agree. Not just for the sake of us agreeing, but like to use quote unquote boxing term, maybe it felt like a cheap shot.
Yeah.
And the reason it felt like a cheap shot is because the rest of the film really isn't.
No.
The rest of the film's writing really is on point. Really is like Dame's motivations and why you'd feel like that makes a lot of sense. So's Donnie's reaction and like how he treats Dame at the start and like everything. And the way he like struggles with his emotions. But like I say, the reason it stands out like a sore thumb is just because, like Kieran says, I knew she was going to die because there's that scene, again, this isn't me trying to be protective, but I knew it was going to happen, where they're making a big thing of her, like, oh, she's had a stroke and now she's having a glass of wine, oh, you should come live with us. You should come live with us.
Yeah, they were planting the seed, weren't they?
There was planting the seed. She dies, and then there's a scene where Tessa Thompson, Bianca, is talking to Di, and she's saying, oh, she's like my mum as well, like, I loved her. And then, like, I thought it's just like, not even Target might as well be playing, or whatever, like, good rap song was playing. And he's just training. Well, I feel like that's what happened. I can't remember what the scene was. Did he call out Dame after? Is that when he goes on ESPN or something?
I think it is after her death.
I think after her death, she goes on to ESPN. Even like a backhanded compliment, the woman who plays his mom is a great actress. I'm also currently watching her on This Is Us. She has like quite a prominent role on that, but she's great. She's like a really good, strong, vulnerable woman.
I say she was a solid character. It was a shame they killed her off, because it kind of makes no sense. But I think if I hope there is a Creed 4, but I don't know how that's going to work, especially the way it ends, because he just ends with him it ends like he's retired.
Well, he's retired at the start of the thing,
Well, yeah, but it's true. But obviously, he's getting older, and like, who is he going to face next?
Well, to be fair, Rocky retires then he retire at like the end of 3. Yeah, he retires at the end of the 3rd film, don't he?
Yeah, I think it is the end of the 3rd one. And he's retired when Apollo goes against Drago, and then he comes back out of retirement to fight Drago.
Yeah, but like you say, Micheal B has expressed that like in the same interview from Empire. I think he says he wants to make like a Creed universe, which is a bit mad, really. But because it's Rocky's universe, not Creed's. Again, I don't know what the legalities were, but he was still like credited as a producer, so they could have wrote something. Is not take away that Rocky was his original coach. Not what's his name? Is it Little Dodd? No, Little Duke. I just could have done with some exposition while Rocky's not there.
Yeah, because Rocky was strong exposition, and it wasn't like patronising. It was his exposition for his own sake, because the whole thing is Rocky's not the brightest spark, so he's expositioning for himself, so he understands the moment. And that was always real sort of like sweet, endearing moments in the original films. So we were missing that sort of like human element, shall I call it? I mean, granted, everyone's a human, but like it's that sort of niche human moment.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. But like my point as well is that what I meant by the exposition is that I would have liked some like throwaway lines of why Rocky isn't in the film.
Oh, I got you.
I would have liked, as I say, because he was his main coach and he's having him like going up against the beastless Dame. Like,
well, yeah, that's the thing. I don't think he's name dropped at all, is he?
He's not actually. Like, this is what's weird. The only closest thing to a name drop he gets is when Dame's trying to persuade Micheal B to give him a shot. He says Apollo, like, gave an underdog a shot, referring to Rocky, like, at that time in the memorial, like, not memorial, but like, he's got the shrine and the photos and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
Even if they just turn around and said he's looking after his, I don't know,
His grandkids or something.
his grandson's really ill.
Well, I think at the end of the second one, there was kind of like, you know, Rocky was done with his boxing because after Donnie won his fight against Drago, the camera is behind Rocky as he takes his hat off and puts his hat on, and the camera slowly zooms out to show like Rocky's sort of silhouette in the ring. And then later on, we see Rocky going to visit his son and then see his grandkids. And I think that was a natural send-off to say, that's it, Rocky's done with the boxing world now and he's spending time with his family. So I think that is the explanation there. So I think that's why they didn't think in the third one it was necessary to do or say anything.
Yeah, well, I get that. Like, that's a fair point. So like, they could have just been like, he's with Milo Ventimiga's character, you know, his son.
Robert,
yeah.
That's it, yeah. But as I was going to say, like, at the end of this Creed 3, it's like he's sort of gone back into retirement. So whether or not Creed 4 could bring him back out of retirement again, and I don't know if they want to mess around with that too much, but I will say I will not be opposed to seeing a Mara Creed in the ring. But I don't know how they're going to do that given the time age.
Well, I feel like just, honestly now, as much as I love this film, I've got loads more positive things to say, but while we're on it now, is I'd honestly just leave it a few years now and just do a Mara Creed.
Yeah, I think don't like shove them down my throat as much as I want to see more. Give us some time to sort of reflect on it like we did with Rocky, and then bring it back, you know, a couple of years down the line.
You see, if I remember correctly, Rocky Balboa film came out in 2006, and then Creed came out in 2015. So just some type of gap like that, because like Kieran says, it like, you're not like forced to them and you can digest them and you enjoy them a bit more. My favourite thing about it is, it's not just Jonathan Majors being good before us, but also the writing of it is that him being wound up and being like quite strategic as well.
Yeah, his strategy is incredible.
I quite like that he just busted Drago. He got his mate to bust Drago's arm. I know that's not like, it's not an incredible twist when you realise he was mates up. Like,
you had suspicions when it happened. You're like, I wonder if...
Because you see him give that guy some money. You see him give a guy some money in the club.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah, you see it. Yeah, you do.
Oh, I did not see. I must have blinked.
Funny, speaking of things I missed, and you probably, or you missed or whatever, vice versa, is I had to go for a piss, and it turns out, spoilers, is the bit when he was driving home when he had the flashback. So in the actual flashback, does Damien shoot anybody, or does he just pull the gun out?
He just pulls the guns out and threatens, and then the cops turn up. So no shots are fired. It's just because he's holding the gun, and the police just went for him.
Well, that's quite interesting and upsetting, really. But the reason I say that is that, again, you can understand why Damien's so pissed off, is because he defends what he thinks because he's so close to him is his brother, and they went through a lot. And then he just fucks up. Then he just legs it, doesn't even leg it together, and then he obviously goes down for it.
Yeah.
And like his mom says, she hid the letters. That didn't make any sense. Don't know why you would have kept the letters, but you know.
Yeah, I don't know why you would have kept the letters, but hiding the letters I'd understand.
For film consent, like, you know, stopping him have the letters. I mean, she could have just chucked them there and then, but like you say, keeping the letters in the back. Poor like Damien thinks his brother just legged it and then just ignores him when he's in prison.
Yeah.
Which he does to a degree, just because he didn't see the letters, he could have went on his own accord, like.
Yeah, but he did sort of want to put that past behind that behind him, didn't he?
Like you say, it kind of makes sense he puts that past behind him. Yeah. Every scene when they're together is great, like.
So yeah, the twist, like I did see the trailer, and obviously with the media around it, it's, Micheal B. Jordan versus Jonathan Majors, right? That's what the fight is. But when you've got the scene where they're like, he invites him around his house and he meets his daughter and all of that, I'm like, oh my God, this is so sweet and innocent. Like, how the hell are they going to turn this round? Like, when are they going to be enemies and start fighting each other? Like, I was like, where are they going with this? Because at the moment, I fucking love his character. He's so sweet and tender.
Oh yeah, when he's soaring into Amara and you're like, I'm watching it, I'm thinking, how's he gonna what's he gonna beat up Donnie? Like, what's gonna have to happen?
I know, and then he's like literally the sweetest guy in the world. And then after the whole thing happens with Drago and he's injured and all of that, and then Donnie goes up to the beach, right? And Dame's on the beach with his boys and they're all that, and they're drinking and stuff. And then he's absolute character turn right then. I was like, holy shit! Like the mannerisms, the characterization, everything is like a complete 180 to what we have previously seen. And I was like, this is my boy.
Yeah, it's good because leading up to that, you see how lovely he is, and there's hints of him there after they're outside on the balcony. He's like, I want that shot. He's like, it's mine. I trained for it. And Michael B's like, that's not how it works. How do you think I can't just do that, like, type of thing.
And he seems understanding at the time.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, all right, yeah, whatever. And
he's calculating. He's strategizing.
He's boxing like a thought, man, like how strategic he is, but also just vicious. I can't remember the champion's name, the Mexican champion's name, or the Spanish champion's name for it. How he just targets his one body part, and he's just fucking. It's like almost. It's not his collarbone, but it's near there. It's like his chest.
Yeah, he knows like of a weak point and just like goes for it.
Yeah, it might as well be like the Terminator. Like he's like finds his target and just takes him down. Or like you said, that there's a lot of standout scenes in it. And the end fight, the bit where he's with Amara and he's teaching Amara how to fight. The diner scene is good, but like you say, the beach scene in particular, when he gets, I find it was a bit, I don't know, I really liked it because he had his back against the wall. Is that he had a lot happened all in that short space of time for Donnie when he was driving to the beach. Like his mate got absolutely wrecked, that young kid boy Dave, and he's like, what the fuck happened? And I think this is after he saw he kept letters doing it. Yeah, it was after where his mom showed him kept the letters. So he's going to the beach and he's going to say sorry. He's going to be like, oh, why did you actually cave that bloke's head in, or why cave him in or whatever? And he's going in.
Yeah, that's right, because he's just become champion, hasn't he?
That's it, and because Dame's just become champion on the beach. I quite like the turn Dame has, but also it was quite weird, especially in a boxing film, how Dame just wrecks it with like a mad punch. And then because he's surrounded by his boys, and more to the point, they're all packing guns, he just like walks off. And obviously he's tamping and he's a bit like, he's really angry and gutted and like he's really wound up. But I quite like that. He showed his like vulnerability and he showed that he was pissed off and whatever.
Yeah.
But it has like a really, I don't say lovely ending, but it just felt so tight. Like, I could have done with more, or like I said, like you said, he could have done with more, as upsetting as his sound was, it would have been grieving scenes about his mum and maybe a Drago scene.
Yeah, I think what I liked how after the fight Donnie goes to Dame's dressing room and they sort of just chat in the dressing room and sort of like leave it like let bygones be bygones sort of thing. But I think I would have liked to have seen more of them after the fact, because I think if this is how they're going to end Adonis's journey, in a sense, because that's how it feels like with the end of the film. It feels like that's what they're saying now is, this is Adonis's career is over sort of thing. I think I would have liked to have seen Adonis and Dame sort of working things out towards the end and maybe spending more time with Amara. Like maybe they spar with Amara and try and teach her like some moves or whatever, right? And then maybe end that way.
Nah, I think that wouldn't.
I mean, that's just an idea I pulled out my ass right now, but
I don't really realise. It's a good idea to a degree. I think a couple of things is because this had done so well, and I told you quite a refreshing point of it, and I was saying this being, again, a white man. There's virtually no white characters in it, if you think about it, which is quite cool in a way.
To be honest, I actually hadn't noticed.
Exactly, I don't know. It's the reason I like that end scene is just how it's not over the top. It's quite subtle. It's quite emotional. Donnie obviously understand where he was coming from. He just, Dame just reacted to a certain point, really.
Yeah, just needs to take him down the peg and tell him to like, look, chill the fuck out.
And vice versa, really. Donnie's like, I'm sorry, I should have been there with you. And like, they don't really say that, but he just does to a degree. And yeah, Dame doesn't really apologise, but he's just like, yeah, well, I got wound up, and he was saying, but no, it's like very articulate in the way it's done, but it's not overkill.
Yeah. And it's, as we said, it's, you can sympathise with Dame. You understand why he is like he is, and you know, you don't think, oh, he's just an asshole or anything like that. You see both sides of the story. And I think that's what they do really well, is showcasing both sides of the story. We don't just see it as Donnie's side of the story, and we see it from both sides, and we understand.
I think Donnie's arc in this, if he does have one, is that like him, just his ability just to be able to communicate and just be in touch, like.
Yeah, to communicate more. Because I mean that scene where Amara's having like beating the shit out of some kid at school or whatever, right?
You think it's funny, to be fair, but like, yeah.
Yeah, and then they have to call it in, and Don is just sort of like, you know, I don't give a shit. Like, I need a teacher to fight these kids, and Tessa, not Tessa, what's her character's name? Bianca. Yeah, she's sort of like, no, we need to, you know, understand the situation and you speak with the words, you know, and diffuse situations, and that's kind of what it feels like Donnie's doing. Granted, he's a boxer and he's meant to shut them with his fists, but you know, it felt like, as you say, his character arc was to understand his feelings and express.
Yeah, just to express his feelings more, like whether it would be like to like Amara or Bianca or Dane. I think it's just for him to be like, yeah, be in touch with his emotions more than just being angry. Like,
yeah,
it illustrates that well. It really does. I'd say, funny enough, I actually haven't watched Rocky 3 or Rocky 5, which they're meant to be the worst ones, to be fair. But I think he's probably the best Rocky verse villain, because he's not really that much of a villain.
Well,
like, apart from Apollo, ironically,
Apollo's technically a villain in the first one.
Rocky goes against him. So I think he's probably joint first with like Apollo being like, you know, their opponent per se.
Yeah, but at the same time, isn't Drago one of the best? Because no one's ever forgotten Drago, have they?
No, I think Drago does balances like a really good
cyborg
edge of being like, yeah, like just like,
if he dies, he dies.
But like of being a parody, of being so overpowered and being a beast, like. But like he does that really well. Like you're saying, the meme, if he dies, he dies. Like, you know, that Dolph Lundgren carries that like idea really well. But yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it with saying I think Creed is better than Rocky.
What, as a character, or you mean the film?
The films. You know, this trilogy versus the 5 or 6?
No, I don't agree with that. I think they are out. They are a really good films. But
I've rewatched the Rockies, like, since watching Creed 3. I've watched them all again.
Oh my God, you watched them all? Bloody hell, you watched a lot of.
Yeah, because that's like 2 weeks ago I watched it, mate. Come on.
You watched the entire franchise. You watched it 2 weeks ago when it first came out.
Yeah, I watched Creed on day of release. But yeah, so I watched them all, and actually, some of the stuff that happens, it's like, oh, you couldn't get away with that today.
Oh yeah, I know.
There's a lot like rope here. Yeah, there's a bit of a predator instinct from Rocky there, tracing down Adrian.
Yeah, that is it. He does not, especially in the first one, like he does not take no for an answer, which is a bit ropey. But you know.
Yeah, it's no, like, don't get me wrong, the Rocky sort of franchise is brilliant. I really enjoyed it, and it's definitely of its time. But I think the progression of, you know, film writing and action scenes and, you know, just all of that anyway, Creed is better. I've watched Creed a million more times than I've watched Rocky.
I know what you mean, but I think a lot of that is just to do with filmmaking in the times in general. I think it comes down to whether you want to find Rocky's more endearing and Creed is more charming, has more swagger.
But then again, Creed would be nothing without Rocky. Not in the sense that obviously Creed wouldn't exist without Sylvester Stallone's Rocky. But what I mean is that the way that they use the Rocky films as sort of like history and archival footage in Creed, sort of like, you know, in their universe he's like a real person, and, you know, he's got his statue at the the steps in Philadelphia and all of that. That's something that happens to us in real life. Like his statue is there, but they use it in the film, like because it's part of their universe, sort of thing. And how Donnie's looking on his iPad at fights, and then he's shadow boxing next to the fights in front of the projector and stuff like that. Those are like what makes Creed so good, because it uses all that footage that we have such a nostalgia for.
I thought it doesn't lean on it too much, Oliver.
No, it doesn't lean on it too much, but I just think it does it so well. And Rocky, in Creed 1 especially, is like got to be one of the best characters ever, because the characterization of his character arc, of where Rocky began and where Sylvester Stallone's gone with the character and how he's built Rocky. I mean, it is his best acting, hands down, in that film. And I do think he was snubbed for the Oscar. Not that that's the be-all or end-all, but I think he should have won, because that was an incredible performance.
It is a great performance. And after, I actually met, I got, a wide grandmaster, Kung Fu grandmaster this weekend. But, I'm not saying Rocky is like that, but as Kieran says, the difference between Rocky and, Creed Rocky, he's like a wise bloke. He's learned a lot. He's changed. And like people do when they're in their 20s to when they're in their 50s, you like to think. But he really has changed. Like Kieran says, it is a good performance.
I think Rocky 5, okay, yeah, it's probably is the worst one, but it's not bad. Plus you get the famous quote of, that's how winning's done.
I thought that's how winning's done it. No, winning done is number 6, I think. That's number 6. Number 6 is one of my favourite films, Rocky Balboa.
Wait, what's Rocky 5 now?
Tommy Gunn with a blonde kid, isn't it?
Oh, shit, when he's training the kid to be the new...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, that's bad, that one.
I told you, see, that's Rocky 5. Rocky Balboa is Rocky 6, and that's the one with the speech, and the speech is great.
Yeah, I think when I said I've rewatched them all, I forgot that one existed. I didn't watch that one.
There we go, I told you. Oh, you'll have to watch Rocky 4. I told you.
Fucking liar.
But yeah, that's our thoughts on Creed, and a bit of dip into our thoughts of the Rocky franchise there, and how, by all accounts, by both of us, Rocky 5 is really forgettable, to the point where I haven't watched it, and Kieran did his rewatch of the franchise and forgot to watch it. Just, a little type of things. I was going to say things I suggest, but no, I've mainly just been catching up, because I've been away for a bit. I've mainly been catching up on The Last of Us and This Is Us, which I've mentioned This Is Us before, and we're going to do a Last of Us episode, so I'm going to touch on there. But just before we go, obviously, probably by the time this has come out, it'll be a week late, but yeah, here we are. The Oscars was just gone by, and for the most part, I quite agree for the main prizes, I think, on why they got them. By that I mean
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Best Picture, and like Kieran says, it's basically everywhere at once. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once won it, and by that point, the only main one that they didn't win was Best Actor, which is The Whale, Brendan Fraser, and that is also an A24 Studios film. So basically, A24 Studios won the Oscars this year.
Oh well. You say that, but Michelle Yeoh won, who was the main actor, and then Ke Huy Quan, he won, and he was the best supporting. They were the main ones to win, and so did Jamie Lee Curtis. So the best male lead, they didn't actually have a male lead in that film, so technically they couldn't have won that one anyway.
Yeah, all right, that's a good point, Andrew. It's not they didn't have a horse in that race for the best male lead.
Yeah, but I'm very happy for them. Very happy for Brendan Fraser. I think it's well deserved, but I don't think he should have won all of the awards. As I showed you earlier, best cinematography should have gone to The Batman.
Yeah, Deakins. That's how cool and humble the Deeks is that I'm pretty sure Empire of Light was nominated for cinematography, which obviously he done the cinematography for, and he turns out himself and thinks the Batman should have won.
Yeah,
I don't think he should have. He should have also. The Batman should have been up for Best Picture also. He fucked himself over really, because when the release window it was in, because it came out this time last year.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, But at the same time, I don't think they were trying to go for the awards. They're just trying to go for, entertainment, aren't they? But I do think also Maverick was snubbed. But I bum off Maverick, so
Yeah, you bought off Maverick, so do I. But I says to one of the girls at work today, I really like Everywhere All at Once, or whatever it's called. And it is good. It's the first film for a long time where I feel like they haven't pandered to the popular audience.
no, it's very niche.
It's Everywhere All at Once isn't. I would say it isn't very niche for the first time for a long time. It's actually not that. It's not too much of an arty film. Yeah, it is has a lot to say and it's a bit complicated or whatever. But it's really not. It's a film everybody can get behind. It's not. I remember my La La Land didn't win. Me won one time, but years ago that was good. That was a film which was quite broad in a way. But I remember years ago they had that it was when Black Panther, was it Black Panther or Avengers, or that was it. It was they had an Oscar for the other year for Spider-Man No Way Home, and it was Moment in the Year or something like that. If there was going to be a film chosen which got the most bums on seats, it wasn't just here's your box office award. It was a blockbuster award. Maverick would have won. And part of me thinks Maverick, what is Best Picture? Best Picture just, I know obviously this is too much pedantics really.
What's the criteria, you mean?
If Kieran's middle now is pedantic really, so I'm I feel like I'm taking his role from him here. But as Kieran says, what's the criteria? Because you could argue is it box office or what, but Best Picture really for everybody I know seen Maverick, but only people who are into their films I know have seen Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah. No, so I would disagree and say that I think Everything Everywhere All at Once is a niche category because, I know I couldn't get my dad to watch it. He wouldn't watch that, but my mum maybe. But you're gonna hate me for this. I think I did enjoy Everything Everywhere All at Once. I did enjoy it.
If you prefer Banshees and Inisherin,
but I prefer the quirkiness of Banshees of Inisherin.
Nah, everybody makes mistakes, Kieran. I'm just so I'm really torn with that because I like Brendan's performances. I like Colin's performance. I really like Barry Keoghan. I like the woman who plays Siobhan. But there's some funny bits in that film, but God, I expected so much better with Banshee and Sharon. There's some bits which are painstakingly boring. Really just honestly boring. I know it's meant to be bleak in Ireland during Civil War, but fuck me. Considering this is the same guy who's done outside Three Billboards Outside Missouri, same guy who done In Bruges, in Seven Psychopaths, is dumbfounded.
I think it must have been a moment in time for me where that was the film I was looking for and it just clicked with me. I don't know, maybe.
I just think the Oscars this year just felt wholesome. Everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Nothing was too left field. Nothing you don't disagree with anything too much.
Well, did you see Angela Bassett? Angela Bassett was fucking scolding that she lost out to Jamie Lee.
Despite my uttering that sentence 5 seconds ago, I kind of... Jamie Lee Curtis's performance is good. Again, I know years ago, Sir Anthony Hopkins got an award for 17 minutes. Then it was Judi Dench got the award for 9 minutes or something.
Yeah, it does feel... Yeah, it's she got an Oscar for the performance of something that's probably not her greatest performance ever, and it's, not even...
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean.
If I was in her shoes and realised I got an Oscar for doing her role, I'd be like, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah, you'd be like, yeah, okay, this is sick, because, yeah, she's good, she's really good at it, but the actress who plays Michelle Yeoh's daughter is nominated also, and that is a supporting role to the point where, it does a lot of heavy emotional lifting.
Yeah.
Wherein her character in it is literally don't get me wrong, he's multiversal, so there's bits when she ends up being Michelle Yeoh's lover or whatever. And the hot dog bit, which is weird.
Yeah.
But most of the time she's playing a tax agent. She works for the tax man. So how emotional is that? I don't know. But yeah, I kind of... If you was to say to me Angela Bassett won over Jamie Lee Curtis, would have been yeah, sound.
Yeah, makes sense, yeah.
I actually think Angela Bassett carries the Black Panther film. I think we talked about this at the time. Carries it on the shoulders. I find Shuri annoying, if anything. and Angela Bassett just absolutely smashes it.
Right, so my moment of the week for you, something I can suggest, and spoilers, is going to star Jonathan Majors. Boy, is a hot topic at the moment. But I was scanning through Netflix. I was trying to find something to watch.
What harder they call?
Yeah, The Harder They Fall. Have you seen it?
Now I've been meaning to watch. I was meaning to watch it when it came out. It's just on a.
Yeah, it's on the list. Like, yeah. But I was just scanning through and I saw that advertised. I was like, oh, Cowboys. Like, yeah, I dig that. Right. And then I was watching it. I was like, hang on a minute. This is Jonathan Majors. And I was like, play.
The cast looks unbelievable, isn't it?
It is like, it was weird to begin with. I got to admit, the sort of first 10 minutes, I was like, oh, I don't know. Right. And then I sort of just got into the tone of it and I really enjoyed it. I think it's a good watch. It's a good sort of relaxing watch. There's some funny moments, there's some cold moments, and it's solid. I know, I did enjoy it. And it's representation.
Any good? That's what it's good to see that more so like as well.
Yeah, because right at the beginning of the film it says, even though this is fictitious, these people existed. So like the story is fictitious, but they've obviously found who these people are and got a bit of an understanding of their backgrounds and who they were as people, and created the sort of fictitious film around these people just so they can have a platform to stand on. Because obviously, you know, as a black cowboy as such, black in those days, they wouldn't have been written into history because, you know, they'd want to be forgotten about, like, you know, or they don't have no history or whatever, right? So they've had to sort of create that history, but the thing is, they did exist, is the point.
Yeah, of course they did. And that's what, like, it does. I don't know. Like you say, I'm glad you recommend it because it's been on my list. Like, what other westerns would you compare it to? Idris Elba's in it, isn't he? Is Idris Elba the protagonist or is Jonathan Major?
Idris Elba's the antagonist.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Johnny Majors is sorry, Jonathan. He doesn't like to be called Johnny. I've been calling him Johnny for ages, and I saw an interview, and he was like, "No, I prefer Jonathan." And I was like, "Oh shit." Jonathan. Well, he says his mom prefers Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan Majors is the protagonist. But I think I'd compare it to, I can't remember the name of the film, but it's starring Russell Crowe as a preacher, Gene Hackman, Leonardo DiCaprio, like a young Leonardo DiCaprio, and Sharon Stone, is it?
I think I saw it. Like, I saw it years ago, but I don't think I watched it. Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Yeah, it feels like that.
Isn't it one of Gene Hackman's last roles?
Possibly. It's a 90s one. But yeah, it has that sort of vibe because it's mostly set in a small sort of town. I wouldn't say it's like Hateful Eight, because Hateful Eight's very gory. I mean, this has a bit of gore in it, but I know that feels more sort of isolated. This doesn't feel quite as isolated. You know, it's in one town as such, but it's not isolated to a haberdashery, as it were. But it does feel like older westerns, like Clint Eastwood westerns, or the one with Jane Fonda's father and Charles Bronson. What's a classic phrase you'd say, like, once upon a time?
Fistful of dollars on there.
I think it might be Once Upon a Time or something like that. You know, you got that. Bow now.
The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, look.
Is that The Good, the Bad, the Ugly?
I think it is.
I say it's got the, like The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, but the one I'm trying to think of, with Charles Bronson, Jane Fonda's father, I can't remember his name. Charles Bronson is a guy that plays on a harmonica, and they call him Harmonica. But it kind of feels like that. Don't think it is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Or is it? Oh, fuck. I thought it was like Once Upon a Time. Well, hold on, bear with. I'll just Google now. Charles Bronson. Filmography, here we go. He's been in so much. Magnificent Seven. No, I don't think it's that. Great Escape. Dirty Dozen, that's a good one. Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah, it's just called Once Upon a Time in the West.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. spaghetti western. Sergio Leone directed it. Henry Fonda, that's his name.
Wait, what? Right, it is Jane Fonda's dad.
Yeah. So that's the film score is by Ennio Morricone. Yeah, I think that's like got the when you hear this I can't remember what the tune is now, but there's a cowboy tune. When you hear it, it's like the most synonymous cowboy tune, and that's the first film that used it, created by Ennio Morricone. Yeah. But yeah, that's I recommend it. I do enjoy a good cowboy film or even a good war film. But yeah, it's The Harder They Fall on Netflix.
Well, thank you very much. And
You're welcome.
for listening.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Thanks for joining me this week, Mikey.
Oh yeah, Kieran's with his casual jib, holding down the fort with his little the perfect scenes. Because I'll do something for Kieran. Kieran doesn't know it, to be fair. And I'll say this, knowing that we have a film and TV and game podcast, but I've done something called Leaving the House, Kieran. So
I wonder what that's like.
I'll let Kieran forget what that was like, bless it. To the point where he says this, and he chops his nose off to sport his face on the way back from going wherever I was last weekend. Or popped in and had a cup or two of him. So there we are then. I brightened up his life there. So I didn't leave him last week, even though I saw my beautiful face.
How would I have coped?
He would not have coped, yeah? But yeah, thank you for listening as always, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it. And we'll catch you in the next one.
Next one, which will probably be The Last of Us.
Yes, yeah, it'll have to be, for sure.
Look after yourselves. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.